Hi, I'm Parker Miley,
And I'm Tim Benjamin.
and this is the Rage Podcast, where today we're going to discuss just probably a bunch of things that are going on in
got a hodgepodge of things.
in the current climate of our society. And one thing I think we'll go with this one first, okay? So there's a video that has come around recently, and a lot of some famous people have made posts and comments about it. It's a group of Christian missionaries that were coming home from Ukraine on a commercial flight,
Yeah.
and they were singing worship songs while on the flight.
Had a pastor walking up down the aisle strumming the guitar, and everybody was singing.
Yep. So do not get me wrong, I would have been annoyed.
Yeah, don't ever do that.
I would have been annoyed. Okay.
You know, I love Jesus as much as the next guy, but I'm not sure I would have been so into that.
I'm pro worship. I'm pro. You know, giving Jesus his name in the public circle.
Also pro not doing it with a captive audience, which on an airplane is the clearest example of that there is.
Yeah. So not in favor of, I guess, the technique of how we're going to be praising Jesus or the environment that we were in.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that don't praise Jesus on a plane. Go ahead, praise Jesus anywhere you'd like. However, singing the songs and strumming the guitar, you got to realize that'd be annoying.
Yeah, and from the clip, it's hard to tell how long that went on.
Mm-hmm.
If it was like one or two songs and then they put it away, I'd have been okay with that probably.
Now, this flight was coming from Poland to the U.S., right?
Right, and
that's a pretty long flight.
Yes, it was a very long flight. Yeah, if it was the whole way, I'm suddenly against that completely.
I'm suddenly opening this emergency exit
That's right.
door.
Yeah, we're landing, and I'm converting to Buddhism or something because
So let's get that clear.
Yeah.
Some people, I can see both sides of the argument here. Okay. But a lot of people, and this is how culture is anymore. So there was a video. It was posted on social media. So then everyone's going to take it and rip it to shreds, right?
Yes.
And Senator Omar says, I can't believe this. Or no, I'm pretty sure she said, so annoying. No.
Yeah.
How annoying.
Right.
Imagine if me and my family started praying on the plane like this. And again, she is a practicing Muslim. I'm assuming her family is as well.
Yep.
So they obviously will pray a little bit differently than us Christians, all right?
Yep.
But she's saying, imagine if we were praying on the plane. And I just thought, how annoying is the world that we live in anymore?
Exactly.
The entire situation is annoying.
Yeah.
Okay? And I can see it from both sides.
Yeah.
But now we have people that are like, oh, this is just because, white Christian privilege, all those things. That's how they can get away.
There's a difference between being annoyed by something and being offended by something. I wouldn't have been offended by it. I might have been annoyed by it, but I'm not offended by it.
Yeah.
But her comment seems to suggest that we're all now a bunch of bigots and we're all happy with, sing those worship songs, but nobody else can do that.
Yeah, apparently the world loves Christians now. Yeah, no.
You should have spoiler alerted on that one. I don't understand why it has to become us versus them, like everything else does. There's no reason for that, because now where there's actually a very sharp divide as it is, now the divide is worse and everybody's fighting. And I got to say, Parker forwarded me an article and I was reading it, and I got to tell you, some of the responses to her, again, I disagree with her, but I actually disagree with some of the responses to her more than that, because some of those were downright vicious, and I don't know that we're expressing the love of Jesus. We're telling her, we're gonna unseat you unchristian whatever, and I don't know. I felt some of the responses, again, were uncalled for. That's the word I'm going for. They were uncalled for.
Which happens. But again,
if you're social media,
if you're going to post anything on social media, you're open. You're literally saying, bring me your criticism.
This is why I don't have any social media accounts.
So if you're going to post anything, and especially if you have such a large forum of people, like, you're saying, please tell me where I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well,
please tell me your opinion. That's
right. I would be interested to know how big of a following Kingdom Harvest Ministries, which are the people who did this, how big their following on social media was prior to this.
Oh yeah,
that'd be because if it was one of these things where it was like 300 people all from the church, and then it got retweeted shared somehow, but by Senator Omar. That would be interesting to think. Now they have 9,000 followers and they all hate them. I bet
But
they have to cancel all their social media things now because all they have is people flaming on them all the time. So
but
I don't know.
And that's like, and again, like the pastor in the article that I read was like, I had no intention of this getting political. And I was like, what's?
Oh yeah, there was nothing political about the entire thing.
And you know,
it
I
was
had to
made political.
I had to laugh because I was like, you do anything and it's political anymore.
Right.
Like you can't get away from politics.
It would be the same thing as somebody took one of these Rage podcasts and tried to flame on Parker and I, and suddenly we open up our browsers like, oh my, we got it.
Oh, I'm famous, but for the wrong reasons.
7,000 views all of a sudden. They were like, oh, this probably is not good. So I just, you know, yeah, and we even get into some political content on here. What they were doing in this video, singing on the plane, there was not a single political thing happening there. We could say annoying, not something I didn't want to be on that plane. Mm-hmm. Yes, but not political, not something to hate on.
It's just something that happened. I mean, like
yeah. And
it's like okay, so like next, if I were to post on Facebook, I was like, this parent can't keep their kid from crying 24/7, like on this flight. Yeah. It was like, oh, you know, like that's not going to blow up and be political, but you mix religion and politics and senators. I mean, it's just disaster.
It's the toilet spiral in the grand way.
I really don't know why we pick such like things like this to become such bigger deals than what they are.
I would be very interested to know, and again, there's no way to know this, how Omar even found it. I'm sure she wasn't following this guy on social media. So how it ended up in her her mentions. Again, I'm not saying she went to look for it, but just did the algorithm think, I bet she'd like this thing of people singing church songs. I doubt that. So be interested to see how she found it.
So that was one thing currently in the news.
Yeah, it gets worse from here, folks.
So then we're going to talk about, all here on The Rage, we're going to discuss after-school Satan clubs. And that's what they're called, after-school Satan clubs.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it is funny.
And now me and Tim looked at this, and we pretty much destroyed it already when we were in Tim's office.
Yeah.
But it is pretty much just like, and so, you know, the Satanic Temple is the group that puts this on, okay? Which, it's a thing if you didn't know the Satanic Temple exists.
Yeah, don't any of you go look it up.
Yeah. And, yeah.
Parker and I got on there, and the first thing that popped up, you know, I'm here on my phone, I'm reading about this, and the first thing pops up says, would you like to know more about the Satan's Temple? I'm like, no.
So what this group is trying to do is, so for many years now, throughout, I mean, my whole life when I was in school, and I'm sure Tim probably had something similar to it, but there was clubs and organizations and groups
of all kinds.
Of all kinds. Yeah. And some of them were, you know, like the Bible after school time where, you know, a pastor would come in and talk, or someone would come in and share something about the faith.
Very similar to like FCA and things like that today.
Yeah, like those that still exist today, you know, but like it had happened in like elementary school to middle school to high school and all those other things, okay?
Yeah.
So what the Satan Club, the After School Satan Club is trying to do is...
Parker, why are we talking about this?
Is say... give it is their motive, or what they proclaim on their website is saying, we're just trying to give another outlet for students who want to do something after school yet don't want to learn about the biblical nonsense.
One of the things that the website said in my 5 minutes reading on it, I must have read 3 different places, like, we are not proselytizing, which means we're not trying to convert people to Satanism. Well, then why are you calling it Satan's Club? I mean, I'm not getting this. Yeah. It's like me starting a Jesus club, but we're not going to be converting anybody. Well, I don't know if that's how that works.
So they said like their core pillars of what they want to teach is like, you know, of nature,
appreciation of nature,
logic, using
science.
Logic, reason, science, all those things. Those are what they're aiming for. Okay.
And a very quick fix here is call it that.
Yeah.
Nobody has a problem with that.
Call it Science Club.
Yeah.
Call it Nature
Club. Yeah. I mean, and that accomplishes what you claim you're doing.
Yeah. If you're going to use debate, logic and reason, call it Debate Club.
Yeah. Debate Club. I mean, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and suddenly nobody even hears about this thing. But you call it the Satan Club, and now it's the same principle running in reverse of what we were talking about before. Now it becomes a lot of people criticizing you, and let's not pretend like that wasn't the point.
Mm-hmm. So
you know, because now Parker and I would never have went to research. It was in which one were we looking? I don't know. I forget what it was. Some out of state place that we were reading about this at. I think it was North Carolina. It was where one of these places started, and we were reading about it, and we would never have done that if it was the Nature Club. So it was the controversy that drew us there, which again, it probably answers my question from earlier: is how did Ilhan Omar find out about this thing? Because we were gravitating towards something that is controversial. Now, the difference between these two things is the pastor who was leading the singing on the plane clearly was not making a political statement, has said he wasn't making a
Mhm.
and if you watch the clip, yeah, well, they were probably proselytizing, but there was no politics in that. They were not trying to be controversial. They were saying, hey, we're coming back from Ukraine. We've had this experience. We want to praise the Lord here at 30,000 feet. We want to sing this song and do this. Again, our feelings about that aside, that's what they were doing. There was nothing controversial there. If you're going to call something the Satan Club, I'm sorry. There's no other way to interpret that than you mean it to be controversial, to attract attention. That's the only way that can be interpreted, by using that term. And because it's inflammatory, to say the least. And because you could, if you're not trying to recruit people to Satanism or God knows what else, then call it what it is. I feel like by putting the name on there, you're just trying to make problems.
Listen to me closely in what I'm about to say next, please, because this is important. This is not happening at St. Mary City Schools. Okay? This is, and I'm going to repeat it again because I know how things work.
This
is not happening at St. Mary City Schools.
All the places we were looking at, I don't think any were even in Ohio.
I don't think Ohio has allowed this yet. But, again, repeat. This is not happening at St. Mary City Schools.
Yes.
Now, with what I'm going to say next, do know that the school boards that I'm talking about are not even within the state of Ohio.
Yes.
Okay? Noted. Is that noted?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Allow me to repeat it. We're not talking about St. Mary Schools. We're not talking about any place in Ohio.
Okay,
Continue.
so I was watching a school board meeting that was happening up in Connecticut, all right? It was big on YouTube. It got shared around.
And just a note, Connecticut is not Ohio.
Yes,
Continue.
yes. So, yes, this was happening in Connecticut. And people came up and, it was a public meeting, and people were like, do we want this to happen in our school? And a guy got up and says, and I was like, the title of it, and he said just what Tim said. He was like, why are we calling this the Satan Club? She was like, you're not going to get any support for anything known as the Satan Club. Because even non-believers know that Satan means something bad.
Yeah.
So the after-school Satan Club is pointless. They said, I don't care if you want to take the ideologies of logic and reason and nature and science and all those things and just call it a science club. But why are we calling it a Satan Club? Because we already have, and the guy said, because we already have a science club where we talk about the things from the Big Bang to all those other controversial scientific theory and all those things. And he was like, so what are we actually trying to do? And so the board member who proposed this, said, well, and it goes into the feelings debate. Well, white male Christians have run this world for far too long. And that's why Jesus died on the cross, right? Because white male Christians had the reign. Yeah,
because there were so many of them back in those days. Yeah.
So I mean, it's just so annoying what people are doing.
So hold on a second. I want to make sure I follow what you just said because I think I did, but I'm not sure I got it. So in order to respond to the white male cisgendered awful thing,
cis, I'm sorry, I forgot that out.
In order to respond to that, we have started the Satan Club in response to that.
Because
So if I got this right, if I'm following this logic, then in order to oppose whatever it is that cisgendered white males are standing for, we're now doing that with the Satan Club. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I just want to make sure I understood.
Again, Christian.
Yeah. Christians just yeah.
So I mean,
like the litany of every bad thing on earth.
So okay. We are just the
so again
epicenter of suffering and pain.
Right. and in opposition to the suffering and pain, we started the Satan Club.
And yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand.
And now do realize what group this is targeting. This is going
little
towards
kids,
elementary
students.
Little kids. And to talk about what Tim's sermon was on yesterday,
yes.
I was like, I get frustrated. I woke up this morning and I was frustrated. I was ticked. Why? Because I had to listen to Tim's sermon. I'm going to add on to that.
Yeah.
But I had to listen to Tim's sermon and I had to realize I was like, we could care less about the future generation.
Yeah, that's true.
We literally could care less. We're going to have them go to schools that are now, and ever since this thing happened in Florida, look at some of these other Democratic governors who are going to say, I support talking about, LGBTQ and sexual orientation with elementary students. I support it.
Yep.
And I was like, that's what we're living in?
Yep.
We're going to have after-school Satan clubs. We're going to have, and now this leads me into our next topic. There's several states, maybe several, don't get the wrong number, but I know 3 for sure, are have just passed. You can abort your baby 28 days
gosh,
after birth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, as if indoctrinating them in
Mhm.
bad things is bad enough. Now you just kill them.
Yeah. So again, 28 days, a month old or so after birth, you can make the decision of if abortion is okay or not for that. And as a mother. And what the problem I have is if you try to question why the mother went through the decision, well, you're up for a lawsuit and you're going to lose in these states. That's how they've set this entire bill up. You cannot question the mother's decision.
Mhm.
You can't question it because they're like, and the reason why they say is because the amount of trauma that would put the mother through, and all those things. And I mean, I was blessed. I've never been in that situation, right? And I'm not a woman. And I never probably will be in that exact same situation.
However, I was born, and I'm pretty happy about it.
However, when we're just going to allow mothers or parents and we don't have any legal reasons why, we don't have, we're just going to give them the right of saying, hey, you got up until a month if you think this parenting thing's okay.
Yeah. Parker, how old are you?
I am 18 years old.
He's 18 years old. Do you know how many people in his generation never got to be born? I mean, you thought about the millions of people his age who don't exist now? If that doesn't bother you, then you need to press into your neck and see if you feel something, because that's a lot of dead people, and I'm really sad for that. And look, carving out all the exceptions you want to carve out, I feel like we still need to not make euphemisms for it and say, well, it's an abortion. No, it's we're ending a life, and I understand the Satan Club is bad and people singing on a plane a bad thing and whatever. All that stuff is difficult, but it's not killing someone. And it's just really sad that we don't value those future generations any more than that, than we're inflicting the Satan Club upon them and talking about things that little kids have no faculty to understand. You might as well tell them they're superheroes because they're going to understand that the same way. And it's heartbreaking.
Because do know what I just said and how these bills are going through. It is literally saying it's okay for someone to kill you. 1 month old child. It's okay if your mother wants to kill you. The whole. I mean, again, I know there's flaws with the adoption process. Okay, I can't put that past. But the fact that we're going to take a 1 month old baby, and the mother gets the right to saying, "Yeah, no." It's just not going to work out. It's not going to happen. So here's what I'm thinking, and this is psychological. If you give anyone the right to, especially a mother, and if you know anything about how birth happens, and I took health class, and I'm sure many of you did as well. Hormones switch a lot during birth, right? It's completely different. You're off the walls, and it takes a while until you get back to your normal, even mental state after pregnancy. And a lot of people have problems with that, but we're going to give these people the right to say whether or not a child that is already born has the right to live. Again, this isn't even talking about abortion during pregnancy. This is talking about a child was born, the child was already given all, the proper medical care at birth. I remember my nephew was born, and within his first couple months, he was already getting several checkups. They were making sure he was making weight. They were finding out his blood type. They were making sure he's getting his shots scheduled. However, and that was all before day 28. You go day 28, nope. And you just, and the mother says, I'm done. I don't, and again, you're going to kill your child. That's what it is. And I can't even get that out of my tongue. I can't even have that come off of my mouth of a mother killing her infant child. This is the state that we live in.
Yep.
This is the world that we are currently going, and this is the world that we're going to pass down to the next generation, saying, hey, for those of you who survived, let's hope you didn't like the fact that we allowed your mother to kill you, or an innocence clause set out for your mother to just be like, oh, and I'm sorry if I'm coming off as if I'm trying to make some jokes, but this is horrific.
It's horrific. Absolutely horrific. And and what you're noticing here is a lot of the way we talk about that is all through euphemisms and word pictures, because it's too horrible to talk about.
I can't. It makes my tongue not even want to say it. It is. It's horribly graphic even to think about.
Yeah.
And but it's going to be okay. We have some states in the United States, in America, that are saying that that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I got really ticked off about this morning, because that was one of them, But it was like, Tim says, what I got is like, be the example to the younger generation,
Mm-hmm.
pass down some of that wisdom, and take the advice that you received to heart too.
Because we all need guidance. That was the word. Mm-hmm.
These kids, we're not even giving kids guidance. We're giving kids after the poor kids that survive abortion, that survive past the 28-day mark. Now what we're going to give them is after school Satan clubs. We're setting ourselves up for such failure. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed of where humankind has come.
Yeah.
It's just such a shame. And I don't know. I mean, I again, the only platform I have is the Rage Podcast. So for you 5 people, thank you. Thank you for listening to Parker Miley scream about how I am ticked at where we're at, the state that we live in. And I'm really...
and if you care about people and care about civilizations and care about cultures and things, this should bother you.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of stuff should bother you. When we have people like Jin Saki who are crying on TV because we can't talk to kids about sexual issues that they're in no way prepared for. It's really heartbreaking that's where we're going. Because anything wholesome, good, and family building and bond creating, we've let it slide away.
And now you're going to get, and again, if you start saying that with someone who's on these other sides, on the sides of pro-abortion, on the sides of pro-Satan clubs and all those things, well, it's like, well, what makes you define it as good? History alone. Take the God factor out of it. History has proven that this form of lifestyle is productive and healthy and good.
Mm-hmm.
This one, not so much. Mm-hmm. And you can look at any statistics. We have such power in Google alone, in Google searches alone, okay? Mm-hmm. Look up the amount of the level of mental distress and just complete insanity.
Yep.
And I have to say insanity that comes behind when you start exposing kids to these sexual translations,
all this stuff they're not ready for.
And all these things, and saying, hey, you played with Polly Pockets once. I had 2 older sisters. Okay, my toy room, the toy room I had was full of Polly Pockets. And I'd be lying to you if I told you my sisters didn't force me to play Polly Pockets, and I didn't sometimes use that big mansion as a castle, okay? Mm-hmm. So now my teacher's going to say, oh, Parker, you play with dolls? Mm-hmm. I think you might be of a different sexual orientation. Yeah. I think you might be attracted
and all that is he's illustrating for you is confusion. That's all that is.
And that's 5th grade and below. That's people that aren't even in their teens yet.
And it's all designed to break apart the family unit, which is the most important connection you have in your life. Because from that you learn about God, you learn about society, you learn about culture, you learn about yourself, you learn about relationships, and without that, you learn that stuff from TikTok. Mm-hmm. And if there's ever been a bigger dumpster fire on the face of the earth, then it's got to be that. So it frightens me how this has all been put together to undermine things, where we can now criticize and get mad at pastors who are singing songs on planes and indoctrinating kids into Satan clubs and things like that. We have given up those vitally important connections that have sustained the human race for millions of years. And without those connections anymore, you could see the result. Despair is at an all-time high. People wanting to end their lives, and suicide and drug use and drug overdoses and things that come from that. All that is symptoms of despair that we are sowing everywhere. And until we decide that we want to foster connections and foster health and be honest about things that are not always perfect, and try to treat people who have problems and help them in whatever way we can, not by just saying, well, if you think it, therefore you are. That's not how that works. Then by doing those things, we can foster those connections and return some health to our society. But as long as we keep chasing fantasies and things that aren't real and have no basis in reality, we are going down a rabbit hole that is frightening.
And here's what really scares me is I'm 18 years old. I look ahead. In the world that from the tracks that we're at, I look ahead to 50 years when I'm 68 years old. I'll be retired, right? I'll be in the shoes of the larger population of the world, all right?
Mhm.
The boomer generation, okay?
Yep.
That we have right now.
Yep.
And I'll be there one day. So 50 years ahead. And I'm going to look back and think, what on earth? Look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Just from the difference between Tim's generation and my generation
Mhm.
alone. If we keep having those incredibly big differences,
Yeah. In just 30 years.
What's going to happen when I'm 68 years old looking
Mhm.
back on the world that I had when I was growing up?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that really ticks me off, and again, we're already pretty long on time here, but do something. For the love of God, do something. I mean, be there for your children. Teach them truth.
Build a community. Be
Build a community.
Be a part of positive communities.
Yeah.
And look, church, of course, we're going to
Yeah.
plug that one, but the Rotary and kids sports leagues and the YMCA, a lot of these things, maybe aren't perfect, but they foster healthy connections. And if you're looking for a place to connect, those are great places to start.
Yeah, nothing's perfect, but please do something.
Yeah.
Don't just be the person that says,
Yeah, don't bury your head in the sand.
don't be the person that just says, "Oh, this is horrible," and continue to go on with it.
Yeah.
Do something. I mean, what I get so mad about is how I see all these people who want to, there's a lot of people that want to complain about all these things, and if you go on Facebook and you look at some of the things that are said about St. Mary City schools, you'd think I attend a jail, okay? A jail with no warden, with no laws or anything else. So it's like, well, then, you know how the society was set up is run for school board.
Mm-hmm.
No one will. No one ever will.
Exactly. If you want to do something, then you got to do it.
I mean, that's the mentality. I was telling Tim, I just wrote a paper in my English class, in senior level English class, and it was over what do you think was enlisted into you as a child that helped you get where you are or where you want to be. And I told them it was it was the mentality, if I don't, who will.
Mm-hmm.
That's the mentality I try to have, and that's the mentality I want to have. Mm-hmm. If I don't, who will? Don't rely on someone else, your neighbor. Don't rely on Pastor Tim to do these things. If I don't, who's going to take care of this?
Yep. There's a place for you in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't fill that role, then either somebody else is going to have to, or it's not going to get filled at all. So.
It's just, do something to help, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
We got kids that can be 28 days old, and we're going to just let it. I mean, it's not happening in Ohio, but it's happening in the nation that we live in. Prepare now for that craziness, because it's going to sweep the nation eventually. Just like how Roe v. Wade did. Yeah. I mean, it sweeps the nation. It's going to come. Prepare now to defend your statements and beliefs.
Yep. Don't count on celebrities and politicians and billionaires to come along and try to fix everything. It's going to take all of us to get this done, and there's a place in it for all of us. So do your part, and don't be afraid to make a stand for what's right and what's true and what's honest and what's good, because somebody's going to have to.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, we wish you all the best, and if you're going to sing on a plane, don't sing on a plane I'm riding on. True that. Just for annoyance reasons. And we appreciate you guys tuning in, and go fight the good fight.
Yes, go fight the good fight.